Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today's video we're going to be starting prepping this Discovery 4 for PPF. It's having the bonnet, the front lights, the bumper, the top of the roof and the arches all done in Syntax Ultra PPF. First I need to get it cleaned. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It looks like it's going to rain. Looks like it's going to rain, but anyway, I need to get this thing cleaned in, prepped, need to declay it. That's my sort of plan for today, to try and get most of the prepping of it done and start maybe laying some of the PPF on. Let's go. So I've just given it a quick wash, prepping it, just getting the snow foam on there, just leave it, let it settle a minute. All cleaned and ready to be pulled in. I'm going to get it in quick before the seagulls decide to paint it a new colour. Yeah, I need to clay bar it. It's pretty horrendous, to be honest. Well, I need to clay bar anyway, but I'm going to have to spend a bit more attention and time to it. Alright, so that's the Discovery 4 pulled in. All looking cleaner, nice and shiny. Actually having PPF applied to the bonnet, wing, arch, rear arch, bumper. I'm going to do the lights, top of the roof there, and the little humpy bit where it lifts up in the middle there, put a bit there as well. It's already got some PPF, which the customer or whoever had it beforehand put on, but it's I don't know if you can see it, it's like little squares. Like, I need to take all that off before putting my film on, so I need to check that out and see how well that cleans up. And you can see it's all sort of left in, it's sort of just what someone's put on. Look at this here, look. It's all just hanging off. Yeah, so I need to get all that off and clean that off too. All needs clay bar in. The other thing I need to check is to make sure this hasn't been off. If I was to cut a pattern for it and this was in the wrong place where it hadn't been put back on properly, you have a bit of an issue there due to the fact that the spacings might be different and where it sits along the bonnet on the height for the so if that's been off before, we're going to be into a bit of an issue there. So what I might do is just take it off to be safe, PPF underneath it, and then stick it back on, and then you're going to get complete full coverage all the way through. Then also need to take the washer jets out, and then that'll be the bonnet. It probably might be easier in one piece, so then I can get it set over the edges nicer as well. I'm not having to stretch a pattern over this bonnet. Anyway, I'm going to have a look at that anyway. I should be able to measure on the system to see where the Discovery logo sits. So first off, I'm going to get the old PPF off, clay bar it, clean it all up, polish it up, make it look, well, just make it ready to go, and then I'll get the patterns cut and then we'll start getting it installed. How far I get today, I'm not sure, but anyway, let's get to it. So I thought I'd just stop for a quick coffee, and I thought I'd just load up the patterns I've got for the Discovery. So this is the bonnet, now where you can see it on camera. There's the cutout for the Discovery. It's also got cutouts for the wipers, and there's also relief cuts here. I think I could probably do a better job and not have a relief cut instead of, because the relief cut's going to go somewhere along this line here, but I feel like that is easily wrappable with the material. I don't think I'm going to have much to any issue with wrapping that. And they put the relief cuts there obviously for the ease, but I feel like if I was just to lay that down in one piece, I reckon it's going to be highly achievable. I'll get these bits locked in first and then release all the tension across the rest of the bonnet. Having wrapping experience, I feel like you can understand and gauge things better, whereas if you don't have that experience, then it's a little bit sort of harder to, I don't know, you just go with the patterns. But having sort of knowing the film well enough, I know that should be completely fine. It's not really that excessive. like curve wise. I know it drops off fairly quick, but I feel like, you know, if it's done right, it's going to look fine. And again, I'll pull the letters off, I think, and I'm just going to wrap this whole bonnet in one. I can wrap right over, I can take these washer jets out, and I can wrap straight over it and then pop the washer jets back in, and you won't have any, you won't see any sort of edge to the film. And again there, you'd have to button joint up, but having the film where it's one piece, you're not going to have any of that, and you're maximising coverage and the longevity of the bonnet and the film. So I'm probably going to do that. I'm going to get all of it stripped down, get that off, and then so everything else will be patterned. I think these are patterns, the arches are patterns, the wings are pattern, the backs are pattern. I've got the pattern to the light and the bumper. The only thing I'm going to make by hand for this vehicle is the bonnet and probably the roof. I don't think the roof's on there either, so yeah, that's going to be all handmade. Not all going to be handmade. The roof's going to be handmade and the bonnet's going to be handmade. The rest will all be cut on the Graphtec machine. So I need to remove this old PPF. You can see it's pretty battered up. Need to be careful whilst removing the old PPF. Obviously I don't know if it's ever had any bodywork or paint issues or paint resprayed before. Obviously we need to be careful trying to take it off. So yeah, I'm going to get all these patches which have been put on taken off, and fingers crossed we don't damage any bodywork, or doesn't lift any paint off anyway. And there we go. So even if you pull it off properly, you're still can cause issues. Yep, I'm going to have to get on the phone right now, see what the customer wants to do. I did mention to him obviously about taking it off, it could pull paint, so yeah, I'm going to have to speak to him and see what he wants to do about this now. Been resprayed before, so obviously it hasn't, it's just a weak area, and yeah, I'm going to have to see what he wants to do. This is one thing that, you know, the potential it can happen. Obviously it's been paint protected before, they've put it on to sort of protect it. Obviously it's sort of quite a poor job, and now this happens. So frustrating. I'm gonna have to give him a call and see what he wants to do, and yeah, go from there. So the best way to pull it off is back towards yourself like I was doing, because it reduces any tension. But even still, when you do that, if the bodywork's not strong enough underneath, it's still susceptible for pulling the paint, and especially down these lower edges where the lack could be weaker. Again, look, it's starting to go. This is big problems. This is now bumper respray, so I'm gonna probably have to suggest about doing the whole front end. Just carry on and do the rest of it once I've got it all off. Make sure everything which has got PPF on comes off alright, and then we'll have to go from there. Yeah, so I've rung the customer, he's not answered. I've left him an answer phone message. Obviously this hasn't been, it's just weak paint. There's not really a massive amount you can do. It happens. Yeah, it's pretty sucky, but at the end of the day, you know, this bumper's been resprayed before. It's not from factory, so it's already going to be the paint's going to be weaker depending on how well it's been prepped and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, I've got more parts to take off, but I'm just going to leave it momentarily, so it doesn't look like a patchwork quilt. I'm going to see what he wants to do when he calls back. Anyway, I'm just going to get on, and I don't really know what to do at the moment. I'm just going to see what he wants me to do. Like, if he wants to take it away first, then I'll let him take it away, and then I'll just carry on another day. So yeah, I'm going to wait for him to give me a call back and then go from there. I don't want to start cutting patterns and he goes, look, I want to rectify the front bumper first before we proceed on doing the rest. Admittedly that would probably screw the rest of the week up, but these things happen, and it's sort of out of my control. Obviously, I can't say, or I'm not going to know when I take the PPF, until I take the old PPF off, that it was going to cause an issue. I've had it before, and I've done a couple bits and pieces, and it's just part and parcel of having PPF on beforehand on aftermarket paint. 90% of the time it comes off and it's fine. It's just obviously this occasion it's happened, so yeah, it sucks. These things happen. This is a real world problem. This isn't glorified. I'm showing you the nature of the beast, unfortunately. If I was to carry on taking all this off, it's probably going to pour more off across the bumper, so I might just leave it off, leave the rest of it on there, and then when it gets to the body shop, just get them to pull it off, and then get them to address the whatever issues whatever arises from taking this off. So anyway, I'm going to wait for the customer to call back and to see what he wants me to do. You might say just carry on and get the rest done, which would be great, and then we'll just get this bumper done in the coming weeks, and obviously then again I can check everything and make sure it's all perfect when it comes back for that. So the customer's just called me back. I'm gonna just press on and get the rest of it done. He's gonna book it with his body shop and get it resprayed, and then get it back to me within a month or after that's been done, carried out. That gives it 30 days for the bodywork to cure off. So I pulled the paint protection off the wing mirrors, and that came off fine, didn't take off any paint, so that sort of suggests to me that the front bumper has definitely been repainted. Previously been repainted. So they're fine, ready for paint protection now. I'm going to start dismantling the bonnet and get the front badge off, get the washer jets out, and just start cleaning over the whole thing. This first piece of tape down the bottom, I literally just mark off where the letters are, just so I've got a guide just in case they were to come off. Everybody does it slightly, well, I've seen other people do it slightly different online, in other rap videos and whatnot. This is how I do it. It's always worked for me. As long as you still get the same results, it doesn't really matter. Then I've just taped it over the letters, and what I'm going to do now is run my cutting wire underneath, and hopefully the letters will then stick to this, so that it should keep the distance and the spacings all correct. Obviously I've got this if it needs to. I've just marked off points of location points. So let's get this off and get it all cleaned up. So that was really easy, simple, straightforward. Came off like really easily, to be fair. Obviously I've got to clean all this glue residue up. I'm going to get this off, get the washers off, clay the bonnet. I'm going to try and get the bonnet on today, and the wing mirrors, and I'm going to that's all my goal for today. Right, so the washer jets are now taken out. It's all been debadged. I've polished it up. It's looking sweet, smooth and silky. So yeah, we're going to get the piece cut for the bonnet now, and I'm going to get that laid on and installed. Just got the PPF for the bonnet. I'm doing it by myself, so I've made it slightly bigger again. It's about 7 foot that way by, it's 1.5 meters, just under that way, which is the width of the roll. And I don't know, I can't even remember what 7 foot is going that way in centimeters, millimeters. Anyway, so I'm going to give it one last quick wipe over, just get any surface dust off which has just landed on it since cleaning it, and then I'm going to get this laid in and laid on, and pull the door down so there's no wind or air blowing through. It's all nice and still in here. Cue time lapse. So that's the bonnet on. I've got to just wait and let the edges dry out a little bit. Let me flick you around. Yeah, so the edges just need to dry out. There's a few little bits which you might have to pull a little bit, but I'll be able to deal with that tomorrow. What I'm going to do is just leave it overnight, let it all settle, let it all dry out. It's like this, look, just it'll go when they get pushed out, and when it's moisture's dried out of it, it's fine. I'll just leave it and let it go. That's the best thing for it. You could stand there for hours, just keep pushing it, but it's not going to dry out any quicker. Anyway, I'm going to get the wing mirrors clean now, and I'm going to get these on. Good morning, it's day 2 of doing the PPF on this Discovery 4. I literally just came in, my camera was dead, so I just carried on. I've just wrapped this edge around here. Also, I've just trimmed the mirror because that was sort of perfect and all dried out nicely, enough for me to cut. This is still drying out alright, but I just like leaving it just because of there's a bit more tension on the edge of the bonnet. I'm just going to leave it and let it dry or settle there for a little while before I trim it. Got eBay order to sort out. I need to charge my camera a little bit more, and then I'll jump back on in a minute. The battery is now charged in the camera. I've pressed on a little bit already. I've put the wing mirror on, that's just drying. Top edge is a bit funky, but we'll get there in a minute. I'll address that once it's dried out. And then the front lights, I just realised they've actually got paint protection already on them, but I've already quoted for it, so I'm going to take this old stuff off anyway. There's a few marks in it and that, so I'll start taking this side off. And then I'm going to re-put the new fresh stuff on, which would all match the rest of it. Front grille part, the lights, the 2 wings, the front arches, we're going to have to make the rear ones as they're not there. Again, I'm going to make the roof because that's not got enough coverage. I think he wants to go further than that. Yeah, that's all of the patterns I'm going to actually be able to get off of here, which you're going to see. So, I don't know how well you can be able to see this, but this is all plotted. This is all weeded out, so the matte is just the backing paper, and the glossy part is the actual PPF itself. Let's get it on the vehicle. So, I hope you enjoyed that little slow-mo. That's the headlight, the black part of the grille, and the other headlight done now. Let's press on and get these wings on, and then get the back wings on. Yeah, we're making good progress. There's one tip I'd give if anyone entertains trying to do some PPF themselves, and that is just let it dry naturally as long as possible. Before, just keep going back to it every now and then and just press it down slightly. If you've got any bits on the edges, just leave it and let it go. The longer you can leave it and just let it dry naturally. Don't force dry it if you can help it. I know in some cases you have to use either a tack solution or steam, but when it comes to the edges and just leaving it to let it dry naturally, inside, out of the elements, in a controlled environment, then you shouldn't have any problems at all. That's the one thing that I would definitely highly recommend, is just leaving it and let it go as long as possible. Okay, so what am I doing? Okay, so right, all the patterns that I plotted off are now on the vehicle. This wing's done, the arch is done, the opposite side, the light, the front part of the grille, the wing mirrors are on, bonnet's on. So all I've got left to do is those rear arches and the front edge of the roof. Then we're done, and then I'm going to get all the last bits on today, and then I'm going to go through and completely trim up tomorrow. I did start trimming the bonnet a minute ago. I've cut out the washer jet holes, I've wrapped the back edge, cut in and done this back edge here. I actually cut it here along this edge, and then got rid of the corners. I don't know if you can see. So what I do is I just nip it off, cut it across diagonally here, so it's not actually wrapping around the corners, because if you wrap the corners there's potential chance of a lift or issues with that, so we just get rid of the corners. Same with this side, same again, you can't even see it's there. It's really quite brilliant, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so that's the bonnet. And obviously I've got to trim the underside, which I've just still allowed to dry out, but I'll probably do that again tomorrow in the morning. Just gives it another day just to lock on. Okie dokie, so I've made pretty good progress today. The back arches are done, the bits are on the roof and the front edge, and then the slight raise area. Those parts are done. The wing mirrors are done. They're both trimmed in as well. Bonnet's done. Front wings are both done. Arches are done, and then the lights, the grille, and the other light as well. It's drying out really nice. Like, I love it. You just can't even see it there. I haven't trimmed these parts in yet. I'm going to leave it to dry and overnight, and then I'll come in tomorrow and I'll trim it all up. Wing mirrors are done. Can't even notice it's there. Just so I see the line. And then yeah, it needs to, all the top needs to be settled down, and the back edges. So that's what I'm going to get done today on it. See you tomorrow. Good morning. It's day 3 now. I need to go over all the panels and trim everything up, and then this is good to go. I'll probably leave it in again overnight just to let it settle and just to maintain it, as I allowed sort of 4 days just in case of any issues or whatnot. But anyway, as long as it's done and it's all sitting down nice, then it's good to go. So let's make a start on today. What I do now is I go around every panel individually and press down, just completely go over the whole thing, make sure there's no moisture in it, well, little to no moisture which is left under the surface. Go around, just check all the edges, push all the edges down. If there needs to be any, well, they should all be sat down pretty flat anyway, and then I'll then trim it up if it needs trimming, or some areas just overhang slightly in places. Sometimes either the pattern's too big or I've overstretched it a little bit too far. Just need to just rectify the edge and just trim it out. I'm going to start with the panels which I'd put on first, and then work to the newest ones, so then they're still drying, if that makes sense. Obviously overnight it cools down, and today it's going to warm up again and hopefully dry out some more moisture naturally. So let's go. So if we take this headlight for example, all the edges are perfectly fine, all sat down really nice, apart from this one little part in the corner here. But just push it, I've just pushed it down, hopefully it should stay down. I'll probably come back again because I do want to sort of final check over all the panels before it goes out, but I'm not going to trim that. But now if we look at the black and see the edge, it might sit down because the moisture's dried out and it's right around the edge, but here it'll be fine on that because it hasn't gone over too far. But when it overhangs the corner like that, that's when you have a bit more of a difficulty. But anyway, I'm going to trim that out potentially on that corner there, just to relieve the tension, to stop that lifting back up again. And yeah, that's pretty much all this exercise is. The bonnet, the lights, that front grille part, the arches and the wings, they're all now done. I've given them a bit of a polish up. I've still got to put the front badge back on. You can see a few little sort of chips which were in the bonnet. It's just highlighted it with the moisture sat in there at the moment. They'll probably dry out with time. Not really much I can do about that. It's, you know, the customer knew that they were there and happy to proceed. To do is the rear arches and to finish off the roof, and then we'll be able to roll it outside and park it in the sun. Start drying out a lot better out there. It's looking really good as it is anyway. So the Discovery was already stuck to the double-sided tape, as you see me at the beginning of the video taking it off. This has got the double-sided tape on it now, and boom, stuck back on the front end in the correct position and as it came off the vehicle. So that's all. So that's completely now finished and complete. I've got another car which I'm going to get some footage of later on, so stay there. So it's going to be the first one I've actually seen in person. I haven't actually seen one up close yet, but I'm quite looking forward to it. Hasn't been to my Japanese cars, even though it might be technically not completely Japanese, but anyway, stay tuned. So I said we had something a little bit different and special. This is probably one of the first Supras I've actually seen in person, up close anyway. I've seen a couple go past me in out driving around, but this is the first one I've actually been up to close in person. It's looks absolutely fantastic in yellow. I like the yellow and black combo. It's like a little bee sting or bumblebee. I pulled the Discovery 4 out. It's done, just sitting in the sun, just baking away. On this one I'm only doing this front panel here and literally the bit just behind the rear wheel, and then a part in here down to across to the centre and down. So yeah, those are the two bits I'm doing, this side and that side. Whenever I start filming, someone starts bloody getting a chainsaw out. Yeah, so anyway, so yeah, for now we're just having this part and the rear bit done just to protect any stone flick ups, and I believe later on in the year or next year he's going to get the front end done. There's a few other bits he's on about doing, like the roof potentially in a gloss black. Yeah, so get these bits installed. Got this overnight, so I'm just leave it and let it dry like I did with Discovery. Just let it dry off and address any bits and pieces on it tomorrow. I'm going to get the other side on now, and then the back part I don't actually have patterns for, so I'm going to have to make them. Well, I've got the whole rear bumper, but he just wants the little spatty areas, I guess you would call it, or the dirt flick up area. That's the only parts he wants doing, but I've got a pattern for this like I've put on the other side, so I'm going to get this one on first and then I'll hit the rears. Front little wing panels are both on and drying. I might have to just trim a bit on the front edges. The patterns are a little bit big on the front edges, I found, and the rears I've had to sort of just make a template, but I've just left a bit overhanging here just so I can potentially wrap it around, but there's not really much I'll be able to wrap it around too. Cut a little bit less on this side, but again, just going to leave it and wait till tomorrow morning to get them, to just allow them to dry out. And this side's into, just don't even know it's there. That's the good stuff. So Discovery's been outside most of the afternoon, you know, looking really smart. The customer's going to come and collect this tomorrow. Wing mirrors looking good, not lifting, So yeah, it's looking really smart. And so it's probably a bit of a longer video than I kind of expected, but that one was obviously 3 days or 3 working days, and I had this one in for this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Also hit that notification bell if you want to see this in the next video. A couple other really good vehicles coming in next week. I'm not going to tell you what they are. Turn that notification bell on when you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.